I just want to shout out to our sponsors. We've got some amazing sponsors that help us put these events together for you, including Ignite Video, and we've got some folks from there. Jeff will be presenting from Ignite tonight. Nose Energy Drink. I don't know if anybody's getting hopped up on Nose, but it's a nice buzz for the gamers and the crew. Lagunitas Beer, the Producers Guild of America, and Susan Bell is actually right there. She's the head of the Producers Guild for the Northern California chapter, if anybody wants to find out more about the PGA. And then our friends here at Yetizen. Yetizen is a game innovation lab and co-working space, and we really appreciate them letting us have this event here tonight. So the event that we're presenting to you tonight is mobile media, taking engagement on the road. And this is a really significant topic for us in Transmedia because mobile growth has been staggering, and it is going to continue to be staggering. It is the single most important phenomenon in the tech space since the advent of the internet, and it's only just begun. This is an industry and a movement that is impacting not only the telecommunications industry, but all industries around it. And we've rounded up a number of speakers tonight that are going to be able to present perspectives across these different industries that are being impacted. And as you can see here, we've got some high numbers. Ooh, we got our little arrow moved a little bit. Entertainment is expected to have, in mobile alone, $54 billion by 2015. Commerce and sales on mobile alone, $31 billion. The amount of data usage that's happening today is expected to be 13 times that in 2017. And all of this is because we are an increasingly mobile and connected world. In 2012, there were almost 7 billion people with mobile subscriptions. It's about 90%. Yeah, I have stats for these numbers. There are over 1.2 billion people accessing the internet from mobile devices. There were over 900,000 apps in the iTunes App Store alone. This year, iTunes actually hit its 50 billionth download. They had a contest for it, and some guy in the Midwest won a $10,000 worth of iTunes credit because he just happened to be the 50 billionth person to download a free game. So these are some phenomenal numbers. One company alone, just Google, so not just any one company, but Google is making $2.5 billion a year in mobile ad sales. This is a significant phenomenon. And it's changing everything. It's completely changing the face of entertainment. Starting originally with music, right? Music was the first to go. Mobile changed the way that we listen to and appreciate and even purchase music. You know, we went from buying albums to buying individual songs, and now it's really all about the experience, and even with a little bit of user-generated content built in. Books and publishing are being shifted. You know, we've seen a number of the nation's newspapers actually, you know, going out of print, moving to digital only, and increasingly we're seeing a phenomenon that actually started with the advent of publishing in novels, which is the serialization of novels. So, you know, how many people know that in the Victorian era, some of the top novels from English literature, Charles Dickens, Hemingway, Melville, Harriet Beecher Stowe, Henry James, the list goes on. These were all serialized, where people were getting these novels in installments. So you would read one installment of Moby Dick after another in your magazine or newspaper. And because of the way that we're consuming reading today on our mobile devices, on tablets and smartphones, we're actually going back to that. And there are companies like Plimpton's that are actually facilitating that and moving us in that direction. Games and toys are obviously being disrupted by this movement. You know, we've seen a number of the game companies worldwide transition from AAA and console games to focusing much more on mobile and casual games. In June of this year, at EA's annual shareholders event, they announced that for the first time they're going to move one of their console games, the FIFA game for soccer, to a free-to-play. So this is phenomenal. I mean, you know, these types of trends are changing a stalwart in the industry's business models, and the toy industry as well. You know, it's interesting. The toy space, they've had decreasing numbers year over year, and one of the reasons why is largely because of tablets. They used to anticipate that their market base was birthed to like 13 when kids started to get interested in sports and dating and clothes. Now they're looking at birth to like 5, 6, and they're losing them to tablets because they're all playing Minecraft. So it's a phenomenal movement, and everybody's having to look at this. Hollywood obviously is feeling the press. You know, we're seeing Nielsen reports come in that television viewership is down by 15% across the board, with certain channels like Fox seeing decreases in primetime viewing of up to 23%. You know that some Hollywood execs are shaking in their shoes, man. This is, these are some significant numbers there. An interesting thing about this is Hollywood has had an increasing focus on what they're calling second screen. And this is an interesting phenomenon for us as transmedia producers, because I always ask, well, what's the first screen? And you know, the answer in Hollywood always is, well, the TV's the first screen, that's the primary screen. But we're now seeing folks like Rob White of ESPN say that mobile and social are the single most important elements of any content strategy moving forward. And executives at Turner Broadcasting and Turner Television saying, you know, there are a number of times where we're starting with mobile and the device and then pulling people towards TV. So it's beginning to shift. What is the first screen? What is the second screen in this environment in Hollywood? Finally, you know, events and live experiences, and our speaker Reza is actually going to talk about some live events. And we've all been in the position where we've gone to, you know, an event, and everybody there is tweeting and texting and recording and videotaping, and consumer-generated, user-generated content is becoming an increasingly important aspect of any type of live event. And actually increasingly important, this UGC is becoming increasingly important in all of these things due to the prevalence of mobile and the fact that we're also connected to the internet. And that leads us to, you know, one of the things that fell off here, and I'm just going to add, is brands and ads. Because where goes entertainment, so goes advertising. And advertising is shifting and changing in these really profound ways too, due to mobile and transmedia experiences. It's becoming much more entertainment driven. It's becoming much more storyfied and requiring levels of engagement that we've never seen before. And I see this happening actually across other industries as well. Including shopping. And our first speaker tonight is going to talk a lot about this area, but I just wanted to give my perspective on this. Shopping is actually going through, because as mobile commerce increases, shopping is going through this change where it is no longer enough for these stores to be warehouses of goods and services. They now need to be experiences. They now need to be entertainment venues if they are going to survive. So this is actually the crux of the crisis opportunity. As the opportunity, you can shrink your shop and make it smaller. The crisis is now you've got to change the way that you think about business. You're no longer there about just putting items on a shelf. You've got to entertain people and get them to want to come and utilize the systems, the technology systems, for what they're good at. And that's communicating to your people and making fulfillment and sales. So our first speaker tonight is actually going to carry on this topic of conversation, and that's Fabian Oliva. Fabian is the CEO and founder of 5 Run, and I'm going to actually just turn it on over to Fabian. I'll let him introduce himself. Thanks.
Monday, and I'm the co-founder and CEO of 5 Run, and while she's putting that together, I'll explain a little bit about my background. So this is my second startup. The first one was in the mobile security space, and then I led that to a successful exit via acquisition, and then spent 4 years at Big Blue, or known as IBM. So I spent 4 years there, and around in the payments and the innovation space, and then I realized that there's a bigger picture that's happening within the retail market that's happening now, and that's kind of what led to the formation of 5 Run. If you think about it, you can walk into you can be anywhere right now and you can buy a hotel room, right? You can reserve it, you can buy an airplane ticket, but when you're inside of a retail store, you look at a given product, let's say it's a pair of shoes, let's say it's an ironing board, you can't actually buy that product from your phone, or you can't buy the online product, necessarily speaking, when you're inside the store. So it's in retail itself is a pretty I guess, archaic experience, and it's not connected and engaging with how we live our online lives nowadays. And that's what we're doing in 5 minutes to bridge that kind of digital divide between that online experience that we love into the offline store where we're actually at. So what we do is what many people call or refer to as the Apple Store experience. So we arm the sales associate with a tablet that they could use to actually be able to help sell a customer directly and to provide a much more engaging shopping experience as being led by a sales associate. So let's talk a little bit about our team just very quickly. So Christian, who's sitting there with the pink shirt, I think he's the only guy with the pink shirt on today. So he's Mr. Retail, so he heads up business development and sales, and he brings a big background in working with Christian Dior, Louis Vuitton, and other big luxury brand retailers. And then my other 2 co-founders, Brandon and Erkan, bring backgrounds and experience working with mobile payments, startups, IBM, and cloud technologies. So we're a team that brings retail, mobile, and entrepreneurship together. So how many people have had this problem before? You walk up to somebody and you ask, okay, which iron should I buy? You're looking at 2 irons in your hand, and you're trying to figure out, both look almost roughly speaking exactly the same. The features seem roughly exactly the same. And you're trying to figure out to buy A or B. So you find the first salesperson you find, you ask him the question, and he says, I don't know. And then he grabs a box himself, and he's reading the same labels you just read. You're thinking, oh, you know what? I just did that, right? So then you're going to go on your phone in Amazon, and you find reviews that actually tells you what's the difference. And since you're on your website already on Amazon, you might as well buy from there. So in other words, it's a frustrating experience, right? I mean, the salespeople aren't educated enough to be able to help you adequately. Here's another common experience, right? You're there inside the store, and you ask, do you have X variation? Perhaps you want that microwave in stainless steel. And they say, yeah, I think we do, but I'm not sure. It's in our online store. Right? But it would be nice if you could buy that same product that you looked at right now, right? But so obviously they have the products, they can sell it to you online, but they can't sell it to you inside the store. Again, leads to not a very engaging and often a frustrating sales experience. So again, this kind of sums up some of the problems. Obviously, if you can't get what you want inside the store, you're going to buy elsewhere at a competing retailer, or you're going to buy online. So every time that they say it's in our online store, you go online, and you don't, that results in loss of revenue for that brick and mortar retailer. And the bottom line is also too, it's just really disconnected from how we live our lives as people. I mean, when we buy an expensive product that's cost $500, it'd be nice to have the receipt in our email inbox. Not a piece of paper we got to take a picture of and hope that we don't delete the picture one day. It's just disconnected. So how do we change that? We help increase the actual basket size by letting the sales associates sell you a product from a tablet, both from their online catalog and their offline catalog from one single shopping cart. That obviously will lead to larger transaction sizes, and if you're not ready to buy, instead of having to push a salesperson that's going to say, buy this ring now, buy this dress now, they can actually save it for you as a wish list. And when you walk out of the store, you're going to need to know what the products you viewed and looked at, and you can always come back in the store later, and maybe an associate can help you to buy those products again. And then we synchronize on the back end with the actual retailer's existing IT technology. But let me give you a quick demo about this. What you saw is essentially the sales associate, again, would have that tablet in their hand, and then from there they're actually using that to actually sell to the actual customer that's in the store. And of course, you saw an example where you could link a transaction to an identity, Obviously, you can do the payment part, and then the associate even has a dashboard where they can see how much they've actually sold that day, that week, and can have promotions pushed to them. So for example, if you're the sales manager at that store, you can actually push to your associates, hey, you should sell more of the Chanel product line this week because of a certain special. So some of the customers we're working with at the bottom tier here, these are platform partners that we engage with, Microsoft and IBM and SAP being our top three. These are customers, these are our revenue producing customers. Macy's and Moss is a company in the UK, which is, think of like Jose Banker or something like that. It sells high fashion men's clothing. These are some of the business partners who we work with. And next stage, these are some of the retailers that we're in discussions with. Coach and Verizon Wireless is probably some of the next ones that we'll end up engaging with, amongst some other brand names that you recognize there. So our cloud platform, if for some reason the drawing's not showing up, but this is what I call the sexiest part of the cloud platform that lets us synchronize with the retailer's existing products and their existing technology. So in other words, they don't need to rip out all of their existing inventory management, finance, and other systems that they have in their environment. They can simply use our product and we plug into their existing systems. So in short, in essence, not now, but when you look at the future, 5 to 10 years from now, every retailer will need this type of technology. If they don't have this, it's going to be akin to a retailer having, who here remembers those credit card machines that took a piece of paper and swiped? I mean, when you see those nowadays, you're like, wow, you just look, it looks bad. So in the same kind of flavor, I think ultimately, a sales associate being equipped with a tablet to help you and help sell their products is ultimately where the future is going to go. And I think we have the platform and the team to help kind of bring this to market. So thanks, guys. Any questions?
So what is so awful about the store becoming the showroom?
No, I think it's actually not. No, that's a really good point. It's actually not awful. I think that's the desire of the retailer. They want to become a showroom because, for many reasons, not the least of which is, of course, supply chain efficiencies. Right now, the store is primarily an inventory place, which a warehouse, right? So ultimately, when we're speaking to a lot of these retailers, they realize that they need to shrink their stores smaller, turn them into showrooms, have examples of the products, but they need technology to be able to sell the rest of the products because they can't shrink it without being able to sell the rest of the products from their online and offline into one single shopping cart. So yeah, I think that's where retail is going to head toward. Stores smaller than showrooms. Yes, please.
Do you have any involvement with the shipping end, making this physically happen?
So the shipping end, we would essentially plug into the existing methods that they would want to use. Everything from, I guess, the traditional FedEx, UPS, mail, to even eBay now and these other types of technologies that are out there. We just basically plug in from a partner perspective.
So, just keeping on with John's question about the store becoming a showroom, and how I term it is it's got to become an entertainment venue. Right. When Fabian and I were actually talking to a VC at Javelin and talking about her experience shopping, and she goes shopping with her girlfriends because it's an experience. They know what they wear, they know their size hasn't really changed, they know the clothes that they like, but they go out to have this experience. And we're seeing it become much more of this entertainment experience. And so my question back to you is, you're working with a lot of high-end boutiques initially. So talk a little bit about the boutique experience and how you're integrating there, and then what's your plan to roll out? Because I know that Walmart has some big plans, and I want to ask you about that too.
Yeah, so I think we started out, you're 100% correct. I remember being, when I was 16, we would go to Best Buy and get our friends together because we wanted to see the new computers and the new technologies, and we'd touch them and see them, and it was cool. I mean, I don't think many 16-year-olds want to go to Best Buy nowadays. It's just not engaging, right? It's not a unique experience. And ultimately, when you think about big picture, really big picture, brick and mortar retailers can never effectively compete on price alone against pure play e-commerce. They're just never going to be able to do it. They don't have the profit margins that a pure play e-commerce vendor does. But they do have two main aspects that they can compete on, which pure play e-commerce cannot, which is the people and the actual property. So in other words, those two factors they could use as a foundation to provide a much more engaging, almost an entertainment-like experience, right? To make it worthwhile for you to go in the store and pay a premium over a pure play e-commerce vendor. So I think, yeah, we started out first with the kind of high luxury brands because it kind of fits our exact product set and the features we have, but also too because a lot of folks who shop in those, if you're going to a Coach store, part of the reason you're going to the Coach store is because obviously you want to buy the bag, but also you're shopping, and it's an emotional purchase when you're buying something that's fairly high end. So I think our product helps complement that and helps create more of that kind of engaging, emotional, personal experience that's kind of needed. And bigger picture, I think right now we're focused on the high-end brand. The bigger picture, there's nothing to stop us from rolling this out as a platform to provide to any retailer. I mean, essentially, whether you're a retailer selling pencils and pins, there's really nothing to stop us going on that angle. And I think probably in the next maybe 18 months, we'll look at scaling downward.
That's great, and and I want everybody to think about the best retail experiences, right? Think about why people go to the Apple store. It's not because they're getting a discount there. It's to go to have that Apple experience. Or Abercrombie, right? You walk in, it's the smell even. They pump perfume out at you, and the pictures of really attractive half-naked people. You're not getting that at home, where they're bigger than life. So it's this experience that we're going for there, and I do see it kind of moving down scale. And we're in some discussions. For those of you that were at our May event, where we had our friend from Walmart presenting on some of their digital strategy, we know that they're looking at a digital strategy, and there was a huge article in Fast Company magazine. My question back to you, Fabian, though, is, well, what do you have planned for the consumer? What are you going to put in the consumer's hand? Because we know that it's great to put something in the sales associate's hand, but what about the consumer experience on their model?
That's a good question. So right now we're 100% focused on the sales associate use case, but really the elephant in the room is, of course, the consumer. How do we help the retailer engage with them? And so I think the simplest factor is, how does a retailer identify who's even in your store? I mean, they know more about you online, but nothing about you when you walk in the store and you're physically there. And so you have startups on some angles that are trying to have these wireless sensors that will recognize your face. If you don't know if you guys have seen the movie Minority Report, when they're saying, hello, welcome here, and that's just human nature makes it feel intrusive to us. I think where our big picture thesis where we're moving down, and we're in the midst of working with the retailer to launch this, is to give the retailer a platform that lets them engage with the actual consumer and gives the consumer a reason to be recognized inside the store. So if you're going to Macy's, you probably wouldn't want them to recognize your face and track who you are, but you may want to let yourself be recognized if you know you're going to get a 10% coupon pushed directly to you on your suits. Or if you've been at that store 5 times and you're the mayor of the store, then you now get a 20% off of your entire purchase. That's a motivation. So I think as we look towards the future, we're going to create a platform that lets the retailers engage with their consumers from their own physical mobile apps themselves. So yeah, that's the next phase of our development.
Great. Any other questions?
What's the story behind your brand name?
That's a good question. If you're asking about that, the thesis behind it is the number 5 it's a very intuitive number. I mean, you get off at work. Well, obviously not us. We get off at 10 o'clock at night. But most people get off at work at 5, right? I mean, not 4 and not 6. Usually 5, 9 to 5. You have 5 main appendages on your body.
There's a high 5.
Exactly. You have high 5. You have 5 main digits, toes. So 5 is a very, very intuitive number in nature and us as humans. And so run implies mobility. So the idea behind it is have our solutions that be mobile and intuitive. In other words, bring simplicity with all these different business case functions.
Great. Any other questions for Fabian tonight? All right. Thank you very much, Fabian. Really interesting.
Thank you all.
I have to say I'm really excited to to see what happens with mobile. You know, some friends here and I were talking about, you know, some of these retail experiences like Build-A-Bear and some of these other retail experiences that I think are really going to change due to mobile and other connected devices, that we're going to see a lot of movement in this area. So let me bring up our next speaker, and while he's getting mic'd, Jeff Riddle is SVP, sorry, of Business Development for Ignite Video. Yeah, I'm come on. I'm going to actually just turn it on over to Jeff and let you talk about Ignite. Let's see if you're that reader. Yeah.
Let me tell you a story. Happened right about 2004, and it involved social networking. And at the same time we were connecting with our friends through this ridiculous community, music really took off on the platform. And bands came out of everywhere. Everybody was a musician. Everybody knows a guy that plays guitar, and that guy had a band name, and that guy had songs online, and they were terrible. But everybody was on MySpace, and everybody was in a band. And the reason I know that, because I too was a band. Fortunately, we had the greatest opportunity to tour the country professionally, selling our music, playing shows, and selling merchandise. But we built our audience using MySpace, and it worked for a very short amount of time. Over time, we started to compete in noise, because everybody was in a band. And we could only connect with the songs that we had, and the picture, the ridiculous picture of us as our profile picture in our bio. And we started to struggle, and eventually we had to give up and hang up the guitars and go back to the world of startups. Now, for the last 30 years, we've been bombarded in the same way that MySpace was bombarded with noise. And for 30 years, think about the trends that human beings have been going through. Gated communities, caller ID, P.O. Box, tinted window cars, TiVo. These are all technologies and lifestyle choices designed to filter out all the unwanted information. And so naturally, us trying to compete in the noise on MySpace was impossible. But now, a few years later, my friend JB here came along and he changed the game. Because he connected in a whole new way by putting himself on video and on YouTube. And in doing that, he engaged in a completely different experience with the user. And before you know it, he had thousands, and then tens of thousands, and then hundreds of thousands of views. Eventually Usher found him, and then he signed with Scooter Braun, and now the kid drives Ferraris. Now here's the thing. The human experience is all through sensory input. We have sight, sound, taste, smell, and kinesthetic touch. Our entire experience is designed through our senses. And if we were to take light waves alone and we said, this is the spectrum of light waves, we can see about this much of it. And of that, our brain has to process that information against information we've seen in the past. And we're terrible at it. We're terrible at experiencing the world. We see it through our own lens. And so when you try to compete on MySpace, where everything looks the same, it's really tough. You're limited with your senses. But video changed the game for this guy because he was able to connect with people in many more senses, the sight, the sound, and the kinesthetic touch. And not only was it the music that he got to share, it was himself, the experience, the relationship, and the connection. So here's what we know at Ignite Video. We know that business has moved to the internet. And we know that the internet is moving to video. And for those of you that remember geometry and the transitive property, if A equals B and B equals C, in this case, we believe that business is moving to video. Now, we also have seen in the last couple of years from ComScore, video is converting shoppers to almost 25% more often. It generates 14% more dollars per play, and it's causing shoppers to purchase 15% more quickly. That's just the beginning. Up until now, we haven't had the technology to be able to really engage video in a way that we are doing today. This is only going to increase. But Here's what's available to the enterprise. This is a Google search of Snapchat, the first page of Google, just taking a screenshot, and this is what shows up. Now, this is what it looks like when you go to Clip. This is what it looks like when you go to Vine. If you're a business and your job is to put food on the table for your child, do you really want to make video and then post it next to this guy? My guess is that you don't. So Ignite Video, our focus is on the enterprise. So we're connecting businesses to customers with video. And then tonight's discussion, we're doing it from the palm of your hand. So instead of telling you, I'd like to just show you a quick video.
We're here today, beautiful Walnut Creek. We're with Ferrari San Francisco, doing a test drive here in Walnut Creek for people who are thinking about Ferrari, or people who are interested in knowing more, or possibly debating between one car and another. Stress safety, but at the same time, roll the windows down and get your legs off. Step around. Today was a great day. We had the opportunity to introduce the car, not just to California, but the 458 as well that we have here. Introduce them to people that were thinking about Ferrari's experience. We had excellent people show up. They were really, really well informed, and they got to know what it's like to sit behind the wheel of a Ferrari.
So those videos, the first one of the client, that was the client shooting a video right from their iPhone, editing right from their iPhone, adding music right from their iPhone. And the video here was also shot using our app right from the iPhone of the experience to give you a flavor of what it's like. We're moving everything right to the iPhone and making it as simple as possible using our app, the Ignite Video app, to be able to shoot, to be able to edit, to do voiceover, music, transitions, title screens, and then my personal favorite, the storyboard. And the storyboard is powerful because to the enterprise, when you're responsible for your business, you have many hats to wear, and you're not a professional videographer. And for most of these businesses, they can't afford the $2,000 to $5,000 it costs for a professional videographer. So not only are we going to put the technology in your hand, we're going to baby step you through step by step, scene by scene with custom storyboards so that you can follow how to make a great video. And so, in addition to that, because business is more than Snapchat and ridiculous videos, you want to know your analytics. You want to know what people are watching, how often they're watching it, how long the video is being watched. That's data that's going to help you make more informed decisions for your marketing as you engage with video online. We're taking it a step further though, because just the single solo entrepreneur or small business owner, the enterprise needs something much more advanced than just that individual. So we're taking it a step further and allowing for an enterprise to basically put this app in the hands of all of their clients, or excuse me, all of their employees, and be able to take video of everything that they're doing, upload that video right to the cloud, right to a central repository where the enterprise marketing department can actually determine which videos are quality, which videos are not, which videos are approved, which videos are not, and then post them wherever they want in real time. Now imagine if you're the San Francisco Giants, where your entire experience is about entertainment. They've got every shot of Buster Posey that you could possibly imagine, but what they don't have is the experience of the audience. And that's the experience that people go and pay all that money to engage with. Imagine putting this app in the hands of every single member who shows up at that game, and then asking them to take video in real time, upload it to the cloud, and as the marketing person sitting in the marketing booth, they can approve videos, post them to Twitter, post them to Facebook, put a contest onto the big screen in real time. Now I heard today that San Francisco 49ers, their stadium, and by 2017, the new stadium is going to be able to support every single person in the entire stadium uploading video at the exact same time. That's where we're going. And so that's what we're focused on at Ignite Video. So in 2 weeks, we're working with some clients That's fine. In 2 weeks, we're going to launch our beta. We're just getting started. We're just figuring it out. But we're really excited to be here tonight and definitely excited to talk to you. And there's a few of my team members in the audience. You guys can just raise your hand for a second. If you guys want to talk about any of this with us, we're super excited about video. We're passionate about it. We want to help the enterprise, and we're excited to talk to you. So thanks for the opportunity.
Video on the fly and user-generated content. Who has a question? Okay. Oh, we got one question. See, I get to go first. I've got lots of questions always.
I was just interested to see more about the storyboard tool. How does that work? Can you elaborate more on it?
So, yeah, that's a great question. Right now, we have just, in our beta, we have just custom storyboards that we're sort of choosing based on the industries that we're targeting. But our goal is similar to like a WordPress, where you have WordPress and you download your packages, different material. For every industry, we're going to have custom designed storyboards that each industry can then choose which ones they need and download them like a pack. So you want to do a product, we're going to give you a product video. You want to do different types of product videos, we're going to give you the storyboards. And that's just the beginning. But yeah, our intention is not just to put video in your hands as an enterprise. Our intention is to make it as easy as possible to make the most professional video as possible. Because your options right now are basically nothing or paying a videographer, and it's not really a feasible option for a lot of people.
I'm a filmmaker, or that's my background, so this is super exciting. I think some of me would be threatened, but I think it's awesome. But it seems like you're really going for the business angle, which is great for the company. But like, is there a consumer facing, like, will your average Joe be able to use this product, or is it really meant for businesses? Or
it's a really great question. Right now, our focus is the enterprise, because that's just the wide open market. Mm-hmm. We're, as far as we can tell, one of the first to the game, and so we're going to keep going there. That doesn't mean that there's a prosumer option. That doesn't mean that we don't want to take down the videographer community. We want to support the videographer community, because at the end of the day, if you're a wedding photographer, you can carry all the gear with you, or you can do it right from your phone. And the camera is the technology that's going that direction. So we just want to be a support structure for the enterprise.
I think that was a great question. And one of the things that we often get at Transmedia SF is, where does user-generated content come into the storyline? And so I want to put it back to you, Jeff, because we see things like the Gautier, someone I used to know video, where someone has actually taken it upon themselves to not do a cease and desist from all these people who are creating their imitation videos, but looking to monetize it and turning it around. And it seems to me that's the angle that you're taking with enterprise. I mean, you gave the great example of the San Francisco Giants. So are you looking at other clients that are looking to utilize this in the same way? Because that's an entertainment company, is Salesforce.com and Deloitte. We know these folks are really involved in transmedia planning. Are you looking at these levels of enterprise as well?
Absolutely. So we have our verticalized approach, where we're going after the small businesses and per vertical, but then we have an entire enterprise side as well. That's kind of the agency and the big brands, like in San Francisco Giants, the entertainment side, and then also the business side. So Ruben Networks is a client of ours, who I think just did the deal for San Francisco 49ers and putting in the Wi-Fi. But Ruben Networks is using it as an internal training tool, because the challenge for them is they're spending, I'm not say the number, but a lot of money on video. And so for them to put this in the hands of their marketing team to go out, film, bring back training content, they can do that in a crowdsourced model, and that's the way that they're utilizing it. So we're still very early, and so we're still looking for those opportunities where this technology, which most of our investment has been in the product, we want it to be solid. That's really the big key for us, and now it's how do we find the right companies that find the right opportunities for them.
So I'm going to ask another question as other people are thinking. I think I see a couple more. So I took a quick look at what you've got, and one of the big problems with UGC is filtering, right? I get a lot of stuff. How do I find the good stuff out of that? And so tell me about what you're planning to do for filtering.
Well, so for right now, the filter, so the example of the Giants. So Giants put out their proprietary app with us, gets in the hands of their audience. There is a lot of crap out there, let's be serious. And so we're putting that in the hands of the marketing team. We're putting that in the hands of the central repository. They have the choice to approve and reject video based on the content. So what we want to do is basically make it easy, put this in the hands of people who can make great content, because it's so easy to do, but then give the marketing team the ability to make those decisions because they know what's best for the company. Does Does that answer your question?
Yeah, great.
Okay, hi. I actually have a question about Snapchat. I was just reading an article today where it says after a sent people to Snapchat, 100 people, Taco Bell is on Snapchat. You know, Honda just did this big thing on Twitter and Vine, and a lot of companies are getting onto the Instagram videos. So how does your company help all of these businesses get to there? Because that's where they're going right now.
Absolutely. It's a great question. It depends on the angle that you're approaching it. So they're looking at the social side of it. You have this very viral technology, a 7-second video. It's quite brilliant. It really limits the experience of the user. No one has to engage that much in their time. What we're saying is that's fine for that side of the coin. What we want to do is put something that provides more content, more quality, really focus on more of the experience so that our main play and our initial play has been, you're a business, you have regular content you need to put out there, you need to engage with your audience via video, we're going to make that easy for you. We're going to make that affordable to you. Then the second play is, okay, well on the enterprise side and some of these bigger brands, there are ways for you to engage, and while Vine and Snapchat, as you saw, Honda's going to be putting videos next to naked women and all these crazy things. I mean, I did a search on Snapchat, and it was the best shots on Snapchat, and it showed literally people's bones sticking out of their fingers, and I was like, and I practically fainted. You know, so I don't do well with needles and those things. I mean, it still is haunting me to this day. I was doing this. That's not where that brand content should be living. That brand content should be hopefully more controlled and more thoughtful, and that's where we think we can really be helpful play. It's you up front.
Is it more about content creation and post-production and measurement and less about engagement afterwards? Because I mean, a lot of these tools are free now too, right? I mean, you can buy Give-It, you can download that for free and create it, and you could put it in Dropbox and everybody could be sharing it that way, and then use iMovie to edit. I mean, how is this? Is it streamlining efficiencies? Is that?
Absolutely, streamlining efficiency. I mean, with Give-It, it's more control. We're putting this in more opportunity and more creativity to the business owner. I mean, certainly there's the channel, so that's something that we're coming up against. Is okay, great, we got you this great video, we helped you produce this, but now what? So there is sort of, it has to be the right user. And I think as we see social continue to catch on, I think it's still very misunderstood what social is designed for. Businesses are still figuring that out. As they start to understand how to use social more effectively, and that becomes a useful channel, then this content will become more, for those businesses as they sort of catch up, will become a more useful solution. There's certainly, looks like some businesses are not the right fit for us right now. They're just not there yet. Some of them are, we're starting to realize are. So we just have to kind of pick and choose, but that's kind of how we're thinking about it. That's a great question. Yes, sir.
My question is about what I think the service is, and then about what it should be.
Sure.
So, from what I understand, the service is that if I have a product, like I'm a Ferrari dealership, I use the Ignite platform both to easily create videos that would promote our products, and then as a platform to put my video out to advertise.
Sure.
That's what it is,
yep.
Right? What I don't see is the UGC, the user-generated content. Like, the ideal, what I would think, is that it's a tool that's easy to give out to my customers, to my fans at the baseball stadium, and make them all into producers. And then they would have to do some sort of hashtag for the videos they produce so that I would know that they were produced about my product.
It's a great question.
Maybe I missed the presentation.
Are you looking for a job?
Not right now.
Yeah, so there's two sides of the coin. There's the side, this gentleman, or side of it, what this gentleman mentioned, produce content, put content out, be able to see, advertise, et cetera, see your analytics. We're also thinking about the other side, which is the UGC side. So the giants would engage with us on a separate platform. We're going to build them a custom app. They give that out. But the beauty is that when somebody posts that content, it goes right to the cloud. They can't post it on their social channels. It's actually brought into the Giants organization, and they can make the decision what to do with it. So these are two separate potential ideas. I mean, we're so early, we haven't even launched our beta yet. So what we know is we have a great product. We have an enterprise solution to support these organizations that are trying to control, to Beth's question, is this good content or not? Should this go out? Is this consistent with our brand? And we're still looking for where are those opportunities for us to engage with a client and figure out ways to leverage the technology. So we're still in that kind of discovery phase. We have a great product. That's why I joined the team. I was like, wow, this product is amazing. I can't believe that they built this. Let's go figure out how we can best bring this to the market and then make the adjustments as needed. Great question.
We've got a couple questions over here, and I think that that actually is, one of the essences of why we're bringing this night together is, mobile is this staggering force, as I tried to hammer home in my presentation, and now it's becoming mediated. We're getting much more media on mobile, and it's changing the face of all of these enterprises, from commerce to entertainment to live action and to enterprise as well.
Thanks, Jeff. I think all the feedback, you can see that people think it's a great space and you're in a great position.
Thank you.
I thought your demo, the Ferrari demo, was a little bit lacking in excitement. I didn't get from the demo exactly how your product works. So my feedback was like, I thought that can be reachable to be, one, more exciting, because we see Ferrari,
sure.
Obviously when you want to drive, and there wasn't a drive in the video, so that one, and two, I didn't really get from the video exactly how the product works with the manufacturing, with the company.
Legitimate.
So I just thought, I think there's great feedback on the space, but the video I thought was sort of lacking a little bit. That was my feedback.
Well, thank you.
Maybe other people thought it was great, but
sure.
I didn't get a clear picture of how exactly it worked.
Yeah, so in terms of actually showing you how the app works, we'd be happy to show you afterwards. We have a couple of iPods rolling around and iPhones. I would agree. We weren't allowed to go in the cars with people. There's some legal issues with that. So yeah, we were kind of limited in what we could do with the video. But thanks for sharing.
Justin Bieber didn't invite you to go.
No, not this time.
It's only a matter of time, Jeff. I know it's going to happen. JD's
we're working on it. Yeah, maybe we can get him as a sponsor.
One more.
Yes.
My question was just very simply: have you figured out a price for the app yet, or are you pricing it as an entire service?
It's a really great question. It's too early for me to really say. We're kind of zoning in on some things. Right now, our focus has been on the beta, and as we get to the beta point, we're going to be engaging a lot of different clients to test. We want to test with an agency and a brand and really see where there's potential for value. And once we get a better sense of that, we'll know. But we're still early to really be able to determine that. But with that being said, these guys up here in the front, for those of you that are interested in talking to us, we are at a point where we're early and we're excited and we want to work with the right people. So we're really looking for those great partnerships. So we encourage you to come talk to us if it makes sense for your business or if you have an idea and you want to explore it. We're definitely willing to do that. Thanks for asking that.
I can already see some synergies between what you're doing and Fabian's company. So I think you guys should talk, and we need to talk to Marty later. And so would the Ignite video folks, Andrew, Paxton, Joe, put your hands up so that folks can come and ask you questions later if you have them. Any other questions for Jen here tonight?
So I think you have a really cool product there. Just a quick question coming more from the brand space.
Sure.
You mentioned brands really need to break through the clutter. You can't be on Snapchat and YouTube, and I totally agree with you. There's so much out there that it gets really noisy. And your product does a great job of helping people that aren't necessarily videographers create great videos. Where do those then live so that you can get the return on investment by having consumers see them if it's not YouTube and it's not Snapchat?
It's a really great question. So I glossed over some of these things in the interest of time. We have our enterprise site. Even for a single user, they're going to have their own site to host videos on, and that's where they can pull from that site to post to these social channels to get the analytics. It's useful in a case like a real estate agent who they do property sites already. We're going to have a site where they can share that content, put up their overview, what they're sharing. But that's still something that we're trying to identify. Where's the best place for us to help get the video out there? Because we all know we need content. We all know we need to put it in front of the right people. But success is not just putting out a good video; it's getting it in front of the right people. So that's something that we're actively working on as well. Another question. Thanks.
Great.
I'll stay as late as I have to talk to anybody that wants to. And my team is here for that exact reason too, so I can get home to my lovely lady. But thank you all for your time tonight.
All right. Thank you. Very cool stuff. As I mentioned, I think that user-generated content is actually going to be a wave of the future. We're seeing more and more of it as people are more interested and authenticity and connecting with people in different ways, and just getting more out of the experience. You know, I mentioned how advertising had changed, and one of the ways that it's changed significantly is advertising used to actually have this kind of voice of God and ability to interrupt our entertainment, and that is no longer acceptable to us as human beings. You know, we won't accept them stopping our show in the middle. We fast forward through those, we get annoyed, we look past billboards. So we need these materials to be actually integrated and entertaining in this way. And the best way for them to be entertaining is that we create them ourselves. You know, no one is more interested in our home videos than we are. So it's a powerful thing that they've got going. So I'd like to present our final speaker of the evening. I'm going to actually try Reza Chalabi.
Yes.
Okay. I've been practicing. And Reza is actually a co-founder of Mobzilli. He's just recently moved here from outside of Amsterdam. He's been here a couple of months. And actually, before I hand this over, how many people are traveling tonight that are not from San Francisco? Oh, we got a lot of folks traveling not from the city. So is anybody further than Amsterdam? No, where are you from?
Shanghai.
Shanghai. And I know we've got Wyoming. Jason in the back just flew in from Wyoming. And Devin's a recent transplant from Boston. So we've got a bit of an international crowd here. Well, welcome to Rezi, and he's actually got some amazing things going on in the mobile in tourist space. Rezi decided that he was going to up the ante and not give us PowerPoint, but give us Prezi, so he's got to pay a little bit for that.
I'm sorry. First of all, thanks for having me here today. I really like that the first two speakers started with a story. They both started with the story of their company and how they started what they are doing today. And if you wouldn't be here, you would all miss such a great stories that are out there. And we believe that stories are all over the place, and we are, most of the time, we are missing those stories because we just don't know that those stories are out there because they are just hidden to us. And what we decided to do with my co-founder, Wojtek, we said we have to bring those stories into life. And not just by bringing the stories in life, but it's more about the transforming the locations into experiences. It's not only a location, it can be the location, we give a meaning to a location by giving the story, giving the narratives behind that specific location. And over the years we have, our company exists for 2 years. We've been doing a couple of projects with our customers where stories really matter. In one case has been in the travel industry, helping tourists, helping the locals to go through a location and telling the story of the city, of the event, of anything that relates to that specific location. But also, the other part of the story has been from educational perspective. There are, nowadays, we have a lot of youth that are disconnected from the history of their town, of any stories that are around them. Because and a lot of museums, a lot of educational organizations are trying to bring those stories back to the youth again, try to connect with them through a new digital media. But the same applies also for brands. And as Beth was already mentioning, it's not about broadcasting anymore. It's about engagement. It's about gamification. It's about how to engage with your audience, how to bring your story out to them. And what we, and actually I want to show you one of the examples that we have done with one of our customers. This is the story of Harlem, actually one of the cities in the, I missed it, I'm sorry.
Thema van de boek orkest. onderuit te gangen in de stad. Zijn ze er wel of zijn ze er niet? Waarom ben je dan jagen in Egypte?
This is a very short, this is a scavenger hunt where kids have to go and explore and find real objects, but also virtual objects. And by answering the quiz, they have to find the right answer to the main question. Is what happened, is it true or not true? And we have done actually the same type of campaign for a premier brand, premier beer brewer, who was, and what they designed was actually a pop crawl, and where you have to go through different locations and find the right answer and engage with the brand. And once you had the right answers, you could win a trip to Spain. And there are also same use cases for retailers, for indoor retail, where you can entice your visitors to go and take a different route than they are usually used to take. An example that we've been working on was with Mother's Day. Big retailers have a home department, they have makeup, they have clothing. So, and we all have a certain way of finding our way to a retail store. And with this tool, they were able to actually get the consumer with the idea, find the gift for your mother, and create a route through the retail store and get you to walk and through and find the right present that you want to buy for your mother. And this is actually more, it's designed for location fidelity. It's all about utilizing and enhancing the location that you have and bring more money in for the retail store. Just to give you some of the screenshots that we have done. So after 2 years, we've been running this service in more than 50 locations, 50 cities in the Netherlands, with all sorts of different type of customers, from brands to travel companies. And we've been working with global brands such as Michelin, and that was for us the point that we thought that this platform applies not only for bigger brands, but it applies also for all those storytellers that are out there, and they want to bring their story inside their own application, and they don't want just to expose it through all sorts of platforms. As Jeff was also mentioning earlier, you want to control your own channels. You want to bring it out and bring it out right away to your audience, and not through Twitter or not through any other third-party solution. And that's when we decided to move to the Valley and taking the product as it was into a platform that's more accessible to anyone, being a photographer or being a major retailer, and making it possible to anyone to create those stories and bringing it out. And as we've been arriving today, we've been creating a storytelling platform that empowers anyone to create them, and empowers you to create and publish them and talk right away to your audience. And there is the video which I would like to show you of how it works. And I need a bit of help here to see where the video is placed. So our goal was to simplify the process of creation, making sure if you don't have any technical skills or anything, that you truly cannot go wrong by creating each story as you like. So this is, as we show here, is our content management system that you can use. This is actually the content that's been created by one of the award-winning photographers who wanted to have an exposition on the spot, not in an atelier. He wanted to have it on the spot and tell the story of his pictures and the way how they're taken through on locations. And these stories, what we are seeing here is just how versatile the product actually is. You can modify your pictures, whatever you have, your multimedia, audio, video, pictures, text. You can just, it's a cloud system. You can just modify them on the spot. And everything that you've been creating is immediately shown inside the mobile app. And you can run it actually all by yourself and test it out. And if you like it, you just give us a call or just send an email, hey, I'm satisfied with your final product, please publish it for me. And this is a white label product. So each brand, each storyteller gets his or her own application inside the Apple Store. And just switch back to the next slide. And what we're going to achieve with this is just simplifying Transmedia. And we want to offer a comprehensive platform that makes it easy. We want to make technology accessible, and also we want to make it, making it accessible is regardless of the size of the company, if you're a brand or if you're a photographer. But also making it, if you don't have any computer skills, coding, it shouldn't really matter. You should be able to create something that looks beautiful, that you want to share with your audience. And also making it flexible to be utilized. So if you have your own applications running, you can use our API. If you wanted to utilize it as inside a campaign, that's also possible, because then you use it only for the 2 months, and that's what you pay us for, just only for the campaigns. And we are almost there with our product, with the new platform, and we're looking for beta customers that are willing to take this journey with us and want to test the product with us in San Francisco or anywhere around the area. And please feel free to contact me. I will be also around here, and you can always reach us through LinkedIn or email or my cell phone. Thank you very much.
Do we have any questions for Reza?
I do, I just didn't want to. Actually, I think you can hear me from here.
Yeah.
I'm wondering, when you mentioned storytelling, I immediately started thinking of nonprofits and how they want to tell the story, or maybe using an app like that in the context of a fundraising event, or to a new donor or new constituents, just for them to explain, the mission or whatever it is. Are you working with nonprofits? I know it's a for-profit business, but
yes. As far as the museum, some of the museums are considered as a nonprofit. Yes, we are working with.
Yeah, great question, and I want to follow on to that question because I know that you're working with cities also.
Yeah.
So you're working with museums and cities, and so you mentioned that you're rolled out. You've got like 50 installs across Europe mostly right now.
Yes, that's correct.
And these are primarily museums and cities?
No, it is actually the first market, or I would call the vertical, that's been actually absorbing the product has been in travel and hospitality. That's correct. And then from then on, you'll be moving to the more entertainment, and then also now we are talking to some major brands that want to engage with our product.
Questions? Barbara.
What's your...
Go ahead. No.
I'm just curious, quick question. What's the turnaround time from finishing your work in the app and seeing it published?
You can, inside the demo, let's call it the pilot product, you can see it immediately. You can see it in 2 ways. You can have our test app that you can see your own creation, but you can also see it inside the CMS. What you created is like you can the emulator, and the actual product will not take longer than 3 weeks if you use the existing templates. If you have custom design, then that's something that needs to be created.
Great.
Reza, we've chatted before.
Yes.
And I was noticing here in San Francisco today all the shivering tourists walking around, and of course, tourism is such a wonderful use case in Amsterdam, thank you, as in San Francisco, where there's a story around every corner.
Yeah.
Have you figured out a way to reach out to all of those, sole practitioners who do walking tours and things like that? It would seem to me such a natural use case for you, as you already have tourists walking up and down with maps trying to figure out where they are and where the story is around the corner.
That's a very good question. Let's say with the previous products we were developing, since there was a high development cost, let's say, attached to it. So that type of market was very unnatural to us because of the higher cost of, let's say, development. But with the new ones, we are reaching out to travel bloggers, actually, that are developing such solutions or developing the content, because that's what matters to us. We have the platform, and the content is, they are created by people like yourself, and that's where we want to bring the two together.
Yeah, really, really great question, and this really kind of even brings it home to some of the things that we've seen in all three of the presentations, that people are increasingly interested in using storytelling to both sell their products, but also using user-generated content. So how are the users actually integrating back in and contributing back to the stories that are being told?
We have, there are a few, let's say, ways to do that. First, everything that the user does is being as they want it. For instance, taking pictures, everything will get uploaded to the same content management system. Every interaction of the user that's there upon their own how do you call it? Upon their own permission.
Permissions.
Yes, I'm sorry. It's been uploaded to CMS, but also all the social networks has been embedded inside the application. So everything, each interaction as they want it, they can share it through the social networks, either their own or the app developers, let's say.
Great. And Barbara actually touched on something, and you touched on it in your presentation, that you're kind of going after a long tail, and you started with brands and some high-end brands, and now you're getting this into the hands of the many. And what does that look like for you, and how do you envision that story unfolding?
We have been identifying a few verticals, and these verticals, we see actually the two main differences. The one, as you mentioned, the more enterprise type of solutions, but also there's another one which we believe the high volume market. And that specific market we are after through a software as a service platform. You just sign in, you create your story, and then it's monthly fees, and that's you publish it, and that's really how we want to tackle it.
Just to ask you again, so the process, if I just as a user want to use your app, the process from telling the story to implementing, producing the story, and then loading the story up somewhere is about 2 weeks.
And I would like to show you later on if that's possible. Okay. If you create the story right now, it's instant inside the app. But this app, we call it demo or test app. This is like something that you can play with and see how your content looks like. But if you say, okay, now I want to publish this app inside the Apple Store with my own logo, with my own colors, with my own user interface, that requires us to actually package the applications for you and send it to Apple Store to get it through.
But have I chosen those colors with you?
Yeah, you can do that. You can choose our templates, or you can choose your custom let's say navigation, and you can fill.
And I can publish it anywhere I wish after?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, I know John's going to be putting this to work, because this is what he does. He creates ARGs. You might be able to use the platform for that. Any other questions for Reza? Yes?
Wondering about who you're seeing as the audience for this. I mean, you mentioned travel, you mentioned brands, you mentioned museums. I mean, where have you really seen strong response, and who's the audience?
Initially, I mean, what we did actually, we have developed some initial solution, we brought it out, and initially it's been the travel that's been really absorbing it. Initially in the travel, because the real business case is just immediately there. They are selling the applications to tourists.
So the tourists are going to hotels to buy these, or how are they?
Yeah, because
going to the app store and just discovering it.
Yeah, they are. Let's say the marketing of the application is depending on the provider. So you wouldn't see Mobzili as the app. You would see Hilton. You would see the city of San Francisco. You have to look for those brands inside the Apple Store. Does that answer your question?
A little bit, but do you know who these people are, what kind of travelers they are, what their ages are, what their interests are?
Exactly. We have another module which is attached to this, which I didn't actually include in it, that gives you all sorts of business intelligence about your consumer.
And who do they tend to be?
I mean, that's really case by case.
So follow-on question to that. So you've got all of these rollouts, 50 you say, or so. Are all of the information, is it all siloed, or are you as Mobzili collecting and aggregating all of that data?
We are collecting all the data and we are actually reporting it every month to our customers.
So each individual customer just gets their data points, and only Mobzili collects all of the data points that go across all of these white labeled platforms.
Exactly.
Okay. So he knows who they are, he just doesn't want to tell you. But we'll have to talk to him later. There's a line. Let's see if we can't get him. Any other questions for Reza here tonight? No.
And I'm sorry, for those that are interested, I'm more than happy to show you the real demo. I have it with me, so I can show it anytime you like.
That's great, and you know, I love the long tail aspect of everything that everyone is doing tonight, because I know that in our audience we have folks that are actually storytellers and creators themselves, and they want to get their hands on these tools. And you know, we love being in the Bay Area because, you know, we are involved in the beta tests of all of these things. You know, I was actually lucky enough in my career to have seen QuickTime when it first came out. It was like about this big, and we were just like jaws dropped to have video on a computer at all. So, you know, and here we are with the next things that are just coming and coming. And so gives us this great opportunity, because I know that Reza and Jeff and Andrew and Paxton and Joe from the Ignite team, and I think that Fabian is still around, will be able to actually give you hands-on demos of these systems. So join me in thanking Reza. And before I do have some announcements. Oh my God. Let's get back really quickly. 1 second here. So I'd like to thank again all of our speakers tonight. You know, really amazing job. Join me in thanking them again, and join them afterwards, because they're here to talk to you. One of the reasons that they come is they want to meet this creator audience, this maker audience that we have at Transmedia SF. And before we let you go, we just wanted to make a couple of announcements. Maya, why don't you jump on up? So Maya Zuckerman is my co-founder in Transmedia SF. She is a contributing author to the Transmedia Coalition. And here, I'm going to
Hi everybody. So the Transmedia Coalition has been around for a few months now, and they're launching their first summit in LA on the 7th and the 8th of August, so coming up very, very soon. They're part of Creatosphere, which has been doing video coalition and other business around entertainment conferences in New York, LA, and hopefully very soon San Francisco, for about 11 years now. So they're a pretty big deal, and we're going to be part of their hackathon and part of the Transvirgin conference, which is down in LA, as I said, 7th and the 8th. Their link is really long, so I just decided not to give it to you.
Google transfer.
But your discount is over here. TVSSF. I don't know what the extra stuff happened, but that's what they gave us. So please, we're trying to get as much discounts for our community so we can actually include, and if anybody wants to come down to that event, it's going to be very good. If anybody knows about Story World, there won't be another Story World, we think, but I think this is going to be the new Story World. So we're very excited to support them and everything that they do.
And we've got a couple of announcements from our community. Ben.
Hi, I'm Ben. I'm with Global Film Ventures. We actually have a mixer coming up on August 22nd. We have all of the major Bay or area organizations in the media coming out, so you can meet them. Transmedia is going to be there. Also, BayVac, SF cutters, and movie making throughout the Bay. We're waiting to hear back from a couple other organizations, but they have all confirmed their attendance. With the discount code Transmedia SF, it will only be $10 to get in, and that's primarily to pay for the food and drink we'll be providing.
Great. Thank you, Ben. So just a couple other announcements from us. We are taking the month of August off for that high holiday of Transmedia, which is Burning Man. All hail Burning Man. We will be at a couple of other events where we will be speaking and presenting. So come and see us speak and present at the World Congress of Play, which is September 7th, 8th, and 9th. We will also both be speaking at C2SV, which the creators, this is a Creative Convergence Silicon Valley, and they're booking this as South by Southwest for the Valley. Last year they ran a music festival only. This year they're bringing in technologists. And we've got such luminaries as Nolan Bushnell, who was the founder of Atari, Robert Scoble, the list just goes on and on of the folks that'll be there with us. We will be back in September. So you've got, an exciting event to look forward to at the end of September. We're doing this with our good friends who run the content strategy, the SF content strategy. We've already lined up an amazing speaker in Bernie Sue. Bernie is the executive producer and writer of the Lizzie Bennett Diaries, and anybody that's in Transmedia knows the Lizzie Bennett Diaries. He's got retention numbers that make Hollywood drool. And he's done this with a shoestring budget and a skeleton crew, and he's really just taking Hollywood by storm. He's down in LA. He's actually going to be flying in for this event for us. So we're really thrilled to announce Bernie. We've got some other speakers that we haven't been able to confirm yet, but definitely look for us in September. And find us at these other events in the interim. One member of our community is running a Kickstarter campaign for a Tunisia 2.0 documentary and transmedia experience. It's a really amazing video documentary that they're making that is engaging people on social media across the board, and it's really looking at the power of women to change the environment in the Middle East. And it's a really profound film, so they're their last days of their Kickstarter campaign. I encourage you to take a look at this campaign and throw a couple dollars their way. They're really amazing with what they're doing. These are some folks that we work with out of BayVac, and we're really just looking to support and continue to support our community here. I think we've got some final announcements. We're always looking for help, and if you're interested in volunteering with our group, come and talk to me, Maya, Randy, and Melissa is also here. Melissa, are you here? Stand up. Melissa is our amazing social media woman, so when you're seeing the tweets that are coming out from us, and we're about 3,200 folks following us on Twitter now, 3,300, and it's all due to her. She's amazing. Liz, come on up. Liz is here from LA. Or New York, I'm sorry.
Hi, I'm Liz Nord. I'm from Brooklyn, and I'm really involved in Story Code over there, which is like your sister chapter. Would you say that? I'm in town because I'm speaking at an event tomorrow night that you all might be interested in, and I hope some people can come. It's called Art/Tech Multi-Platform Storytelling, And I'm going to be talking about an interactive doc that I'm working on, and another filmmaker is going to be talking about his project, and there's going to be food and drinks and playing with interactive projects. And it's going to be fun, I think. It's tomorrow night at 8 o'clock at the Rayco Photo Center, which is quite near here. It's 3rd and Howard-ish.
Yeah, between Harrison and Bryant.
Between Harrison and Bryant on 3rd.
It's $10, I just got an email from Josh. So
Okay,
it's $10.
$10.
And you get 2 free drinks.
2 free drinks.
How can you go wrong there?
Thank you.
And you get to talk to Liz, all the way from Brooklyn. Sorry, Liz. I got that wrong. So I think our final announcement of the night, and actually before I hand this over to Maya, I want to say, please do say there's more food, more drinks, and we're done for the summer, so come party with us for a little bit. But one more thing. What about you?
Yeah, what about you? So we've been doing this for a year and 8 now. Yeah, and we've heard all these stories and connected with amazing people, and we'd love to actually hear from our community. Tell us your story. So this is a link, and also this little makeshift flyers with the QR code. We'll direct you to a Google form. And we really love to hear stories from you. Did you meet anybody in this event that became your friend, lover, business partner, started a new startup, got some great ideas, learned something that you wouldn't have learned? We'd really love to hear that. And we'll feature either all of you, depending on how many we're going to get, or some of you in our blogs, and give you full recognition and links to whatever projects you're working on or anything like that. But we really want to get some more information from you, and can really eat our own dog food, get some UGC from you guys, and not only broadcast. We really want to start engaging and seeing what is the community about and what they're doing. So so please either follow this very long bit.ly link or hit the QR code, and we really hope to hear from you. And I think that's it, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, thank you all. We'll see you at the end of September, and do join us afterwards. I want to thank you all for being here tonight, and once again thank our sponsors and our speakers, of course. Thanks.
Je suis pendu à vos lèvres, espérons le mot, espérons le oui qui sauverait ma vie. Je suis pendu au téléphone, mais qu'y a-t-il de plus moche? Un téléphone à phone qui sonne et personne qui ne décroche. Je suis pendu à votre cou, dans le plus beau de mes rêves, mais je ne me réveille jamais près de vous et j'en crève. Je suis pendu sous vos fenêtres, au pied de l'arbre, peut-être demain, la petite fleur qui va naître vous racontera mon chagrin. C'est quand le bonheur, 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 c'est quand le bonheur. Je suis pendu à cet espoir que vous m'avez soldé. Je suis presque sur l'autre soir, c'est moi que vous avez regardé. Je suis pendu par les pieds, tout rouge et le souffle coupé, à chaque fois que le hasard me dépose devant votre nez. Je suis pendu à la cravate, dans mon costume croque-macabé. Il paraît que vous faiblissez devant les hommes bien habillés. Je suis tendu, c'est aujourd'hui que je viens vous offrir ma vie. Peut-être oserais-je parler à quelqu'un d'autre qu'à mes pieds. C'est quand le bonheur, 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 c'est quand le bonheur. puis ce goût amer est venu tapisser ma bouche. Je viens de conquérir son cœur.